Hello everyone. Sire here. Thank you so much for joining me for a super sponsor hop with Kendra Card Challenge featuring the products Altenew today. I'm going to be playing with this better press compatible plate, and it has some nice flowers and stems as well as the coordinating stencil. Now this stencil can be used on its own or with this, and I'm going to do both. So we'll see how that works. And instead of using it on the Better Press, actually, I'm going to try using it on the Glimmer machine from Spellbinders, using this black foil that I bought at Christmas time and never got around to using it yet. So this is going to be a really good opportunity. So what I'm going to be creating is sketch number 2. And if I remember correctly, you'll see it in the corner of the screen once I start creating the card. So what we'll do is we'll start off with the plate here, but instead of using it for the Better Press, I'm going to try to hot foil it. I have this black foil that I got around Christmas time that I never got to use yet, and so I decided this would be really neat to play with the black foil and this plate. My machine's actually set up on the other side of the room, so I'm just going to show you how I put it all together. So I got my cardstock, my foil, color down, and then you know the system where you need to make sure it's all heated and everything before you use it. So here we go. It's a little bit excess foiled, but that's okay. It's a background, and I knew it would kind of do that because I did such a large piece and didn't bother measuring it correctly. But now that that's set, I bring out my stencil. Now I did show you the wrong packaging in the beginning of the video. When I was putting the stencils away, I realized I put it in a different package, but this one is actually called the Modern Leaf Background Stencil. And so it works perfectly with this Modern Leaf press plate. And I'm going to just use some red inks, and just for a little bit of flavor, I'm going to bring 3 different shades of red. Altenew definitely has their own ink line that is broken up into their color range, but I don't have Altenew colors, so I'm just using a different ink set. If you don't have 3 shades of red, it doesn't matter. You can also try light-handed and then darker, or heavier and then heavier, or stick with just 1 color, 2 colors. It's up to you. I really like the red and the black, so I wanted just to stick with red and then just having the different shades. So I've already done the 2 colors of red, and then to finish it off will be the 3rd, and I'm just going to mix the whole thing together because the ink is already on the stencil. I'm just going to keep moving that around so that hopefully with the different shades of red, which are very subtle difference, they kind of blend together. And now we got that piece. So you got this nice little bit of highlights and dark parts to the image without making it all one color. So that's kind of the intention I was trying to do. So I also said you can use the stencil to instead of the press plate. And so what I'm going to do is use the stencil red and red again. And that's going to be very monotone. You're not going to see it very well, and that was the intention. Because I'm going to be layering this on top of the one panel I just did, and I don't want it to be too busy. So there's the red, and then I'm going to bring in the little branches. Now these branches are thicker than the press plate, which makes sense because the press plate is actually, the whole idea is it's pressing into that cotton paper, and it just makes this really neat impression. So a thick line is not as appealing, at least to my opinion, as a nice thin line. And also, I should also say, a thin line stencil would be very hard to color. Those are my 2 logical explanations, and they could be wrong, but that's okay. That's just what I think at this point in time. So I'm going to be coloring these branches with a darker gray. This will stand out a lot more than the red. I mean, the red stands out here, but when you actually are when the light hits it a certain way, that red will hide compared to the gray. Now for the sketch, as you can see in there, I have 4 pieces. So this is going to be cut down into 4 3x1 sections. If you are following the sketch guide, the cutting guide, then you could use your 6 pattern papers and cut them and following the guides, and you would have these pieces, and this would be all part of paper A. Now, I did grab a piece of white cardstock here. It's just a scrap piece I had, and it's measuring roughly 3 1/4 by 4 3/4, something along those lines. I'm not too worried about the height because I'm going to trim that off. I know sometimes that, because I don't measure how I glue, or I don't measure before I glue them down. So what I do is I just start in the bottom, making sure I eyeball the margin on the left, right, and bottom, and then I work my way up. Whatever is left on the top, I can trim off, and then I have a nice border around the whole image. This is much easier than just trying to calculate the correct height. At least for me, much easier. There we go. I'm just going to eyeball it and make sure that I just cut the slightest little sliver off, and I think that's much easier. Now you notice that I did flip the 2 center pieces because I'm going to be putting this on top of this busy pattern paper, which I use with the Glimmer machine. I figured I would just take the 2 in the center and reverse it so that it's not so much pattern happening. I didn't have to do that. I just thought that it looked a little more appealing. As you can see, there's my scrap piece of paper. Sometimes. You just have to use those scraps up. You don't want to waste it. I mean, it's a perfectly good piece of paper. I only printed on the one side. So why throw it in the garbage? Anyways, you can use a nice fresh piece of paper if you want. You don't need to use your scraps if you have the perfectly good paper. If you actually looked at all my cards, you'd probably notice that there's a lot of scraps that I use. Okay, so I'm going to try to put this right in the center there, following the sketch. So really the sketch is almost identical, except I have added extra layers, matte layers. Now the sentiment, that's from a different stamp set from Altenew, and had a bunch of different sympathy or get better or inspirational type sentiments. And this is the one that fit perfectly in that circle for this sketch. Now to finish off the card, I'm going to add some enamel dots. And while I fiddle around with this, I will explain. Well, first of all, I would like to thank Altenew for being a super sponsor. What that means is that they provide some of the design team with some products to play with so that we can talk about them, show their products, as well as try to bring more people's awareness into Kendra Card Challenge so that it can grow and grow and get better and better. And if you're not familiar with Kendra Card Challenge, it is a card challenge where you take 6 6x6 pattern papers, you follow cutting guides, and create 15 cards, which if you post on the Facebook group, you can win one of many prizes, and Altenew is one of the sponsors that you can win a prize from. It is all free. Anyone can join, and you can play up to 3 times a quarter. So we have July, August, and September for KCC 15. I highly recommend playing along. It's a lot of fun, and why not? You could win a prize. As you can see, I'm still playing around with my enamel dust, but I think I'm in good position now. I like that. Okay, so I'm going to put that down. I'm going to call it, and I hope you like this. It's a very simple card, but I just really like the colors and the patterns, and I just wanted something that was just different than a birthday and a hello and all that. Because I did swap to a black cardstock, I am going to put a little bit of a white piece in there just so that I can write a nice message in there for someone who receives this. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoy this, and please don't forget to check out everyone else in the playlist on the design team who is hopping along. That will be in the description box below as well. And I hope you all are having a wonderful weekend. Take care, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye.